All right, good morning, guys. It's November 4th, 10 a.m. Market just opened here about 30 minutes ago. It is November 4th, so we're about a day away from Election Day. Huge election. I mean, it's been crazy to see everything on X, the news, because, the one conclusion I've gotten to is that both sides are convinced that they are going to absolutely win. And it's just very interesting to see that. So, uh, stocks, obviously, it's going to be a bit volatile as the markets try to price in some sort of victory on either half and how the markets are going to react and what they're going to factor in. Um, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's do a quick portfolio review, see if we need to make any moves today as far as sell or close anything. I'm going to be going into this election a bit hedged. I'm definitely going to close out some puts if I can. I'm going to try to bring up my margin and my buying power. But I also want to prepare myself if there's a run, because if there is a run, you want to make sure you make money. So it's that fine balance, right? So right now we're about 0.5% down, nothing crazy. Seems like the market's coming back up. So let's go ahead and dive into each trade, and I'll pull up my trade tracker here as well, which I reviewed on last week's episode. If you want a copy of this, please let me know. I will send it to you. It has formulas. It has everything that you need. It's simple. It's really, you need to track your trades. I mean, there's no way around it. If you're serious about this, you need to track them because you need to know everything about your position and your strategy like the back of your hand. And this is sort of like a dashboard. It's like if you're exercising, you want to know what your heart rate is. You want to know how many miles you've ran. You want to know how much time you've exercised. It's the same thing. So long story short, given it is the morning, let's go ahead and see what Intuit is doing today. Intuit is down about 0.5%, 619, which is good. I may look to close out a position here that, the volatility was absolutely crazy on Friday. So I actually closed a few of my positions. Like look at that. I'm up 200 just for holding it overnight. So what I may do is I may close out one just to have one in my back pocket in case Intuit does rally. But long story short, I mean, look, we're at 53%, $9,000. We have 3 options left. I think I'm going to wheel these until the end of November. I've sold a few of them just to kind of reduce my risk because I did have 10 of them and I did spend $17,000 on these. So I wanted to kind of close some of these positions, and you see them here at 750. I closed 3, 4 of them. The short dated ones did expire worthless, so I didn't do anything with those. So I have 3 right now, and I have it here that they're worth 880. I think they've definitely gone down in price, but you see Intuit is fighting, and I really think Intuit's actually going to probably break through. So I'm going to see if I can close this at some sort of profit here, even at $500. I'm still putting away a pretty decent premium, and I might be able to sell this at the same premium. It's definitely the election. The election is absolutely making this, these premiums extremely juicy, which is good. That's what you want. 500 guarantees me a $200 win. I'd like to do that. Let's go ahead and just leave it here. There we go. We just got filled on 500, which is great. So what we do here is now that was the 535. I'm going to go down here. And I'm going to go to the 535 and I'm going to say, hey, we just closed this today for $500. Copy the formula here. And it says pretty much I just got a $200 profit and I close this one. So I've got one in my back pocket that I'm going to leave for if this thing goes green. And it seems to be going green at 621. So I come over here and I say, hey, when it crosses 621, I want you to let me know. And if it crosses 625, I want you to let me know again. But if it goes below 618, I also want you to let me know. But if it goes even further down to 16, I want you to let me know again. So I pretty much got this thing sandwiched here. If we go to my long calls, nice little $200 profit to start the morning. If we go to my long calls, I'm curious to know what the value of those are. They're about $800, right? $795. So if I was to go here, I'd update this with $795. That's how much my 3 are worth. Pending premium, I think we got to edit this a little bit because this is no longer pending premium, which is the 113. So I go over here and I cancel that out. But then my premium generated must include my 200 that I just made. So we're good there, you know, and we are at a 49% return. Now I've got another few positions here. I've got a 620 put. I've got a 610 put. You know, this 620 put I may close out just because I don't want to, you know, I've got 2 puts on into it. I don't really want to keep holding this. So right now it's worth $1,000 or it's worth 1145. You know, so if I was to go down to the put here and go to 1145, it's pretty much a break even. You know, I lost 1,022, and here I'm going to be making 1,035. So it's like I make $100. Do I want to do that? I may do that. I may wait for another. I think it's going to turn green, and the moment it does turn green, I'll go ahead and close that out. I think I don't think the risk is worth it. I do still have that 620, so you know it's let's go ahead and see. And this is 622, so this still has a bit of time left. Not very concerned. So let's go to Celsius. So Celsius right now, let's start at the top. Celsius, we are currently running a poor man covered call. Same thing as Intuit, but just on a very small scale. And I think I'm going to exercise these when I get to January 17th. So my main point right now is just to everything I paid for this call to earn it back. So that way, when I do exercise it, I'm actually buying them at 25 or possibly lower than 25. So right now, this is up 172. This is my real basis, 651. I actually had just sold a call on Celsius, and I believe I believe it. Did it expire? Oh, it expires on 11/8. So I still have. Oh, I've got the call right here, $34 call. So I still have this week on this particular call. It's up $188. You know, if Celsius does go above 34, I'd be happy rolling this. Not concerned. I've got plenty of time, so I'm not very concerned about this one. So we're going to leave Celsius alone. CleanSpark has been one that really, you know, I've been saying that all my shares of CleanSpark are for sale at 13, but honestly, I'm going to lower it to 12.50. I really just want to get out of this stock. I'm not particularly excited about CleanSpark. My cost basis is 11.45. I'll let them go at 12. 11.50 even, maybe just break even on these things, but I'd like to make a little bit of money on them. Right now we're at 9. We're basically at $10. You know, we have 2 $12 puts expiring this week. So, you know, these are obviously very underwater. This is I think CleanSpark and Riot are going to react a lot to the election. So while I don't want to get political on the live, you know, whoever it is that you believe, whether you agree with them or not, whoever you believe is going to win, I think is going to influence a lot of this. You know, the reality is that I believe the Republican candidate is a bit more Bitcoin friendly. I don't think the Democrat candidate is very pro crypto, just given what their SEC appointment has done as far as pursuing litigation against crypto firms. So just make sure that when you have these positions open, that's going to be a big part of what's going to happen tomorrow and the volatility. So I'm going to leave these $12 puts. I think it's too soon to close them out or roll them. I've got a $14 call for the 8th. I think I'm okay with that. I'll let them. These are for sale. At 14, you can have them. I've got one $12 call as well, which at 12 you can have them as well. And then an $11.50 put. So I've got really 3 puts and I've got 2 calls. But the reality is I've got 500 shares. So I've got about 300. I've got about 3 contracts that I haven't sold contracts on yet. So I'm going to make a reminder here. If it goes above, I think it was 10:30, the price that we turn green. And then if we go below, you know, we have a bottom here of 980. I think if we go below 980, it'd be interesting for me to know about. So let's go ahead and lock 980 in. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it on CleanSpark. You know, I definitely want to sell a call before the end of the day because I want to take advantage of those premiums. I mean, look, the $12 one is at 18 right now for this week. And so, you know what? I may sell one more of these. What premium did I get on these? I got 100. I got a lot of premium on those. It's down 4%. So I know, like, if we go to the option chain, you're going to see how drastically the premiums are reduced. But let's go ahead and just do November 22nd, for example. Right? If I wanted to sell a call, it's down 17%. It's not bad considering it's a red day, but it's climbing. So what I'll probably do is let's go ahead and leave. I said they'd all be for sale at 12. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to sell another one at 12. And let's let these recover. You know, let's be a little optimistic with our. I'm putting a 60 limit price in there right now. It's trading between 58 and 63. So, you know, I always like to, if I see the stock is recovering, you know, it was at 4%, it's now 3.78. If I see it recovering, I put my bid in at the ask price. So it's sort of a bullish position. And I like to do that, you know, a couple dollars here and there, nothing crazy. So we'll let this one fill at 58, at 60. Now 13 is at 41. So I'm going to probably fill, you know, 2 more of these. I'd like to get 13. I said it was 12, right? 12.50. I'd sell them at 12. So yeah, 60 is the price that we got one of them at. 13 is, you know what I'd like to do? I think 13 is, honestly, I'd like to just let these go at 12 and a half. So let's see if I can do another one at 50. $10 less a premium, but I get 50 cents more of appreciation there. All right, so I've got the 2 contracts open. Let's wait for those to fill, and then I've got one in my back pocket in case it starts going up. You see, it's actually going down. So that's not. Let's just leave those open for today. Chipotle expires this week. Let's see what Chipotle is talking about. $56 put. It's at 57. Honestly, I don't know if I'm conflicted, but I think it's a pretty good bet. But the question is, do I want that headache for 35 bucks when I can bank in 80? So let's just go ahead and close this. You know, I don't think it's worth me. I like it. I like it at 56. Chipotle. No. Let me see something. You know what? I'm going to keep that position only because I'd actually be interested in buying Chipotle. I actually really like Chipotle. So I'm gonna leave that there just because if it was mainly just selling puts for income, I probably would not do that because I wouldn't want to own them. But I do want to own these, truthfully. So let's leave that. Hims is one where I own a very, very small position. I'm just running the wheel on it, nothing crazy. Just bread and butter. Selling calls, selling puts. I own, I believe, that is Intuit. Hims. So on Hims, I believe I bought 100 shares at 16.57. So we're up 25%. I've got a call that I sold expiring this week at 20. So we're already underwater on it, but I'm not concerned. Now, I've got 418. I've got four $18 puts for December 20th. They're up about 28%, about 595. You know, I really like these. I'm actually going to hold on to these. I think 18. I'd buy more at 18. You know, it's up to 20. If we see HIMS turn red, I may buy a little bit more. 2031 is when we see it red. So let's just do, you know, $20 is pretty good. You know, if it moves below $20, let me know, because then I will open up more put positions. But if it moves above, you know, 23 or even 22, 22 is probably going to happen. So let's do 23. Let me know. And as a matter of fact, I think on HIMS, if I remember correctly, I had 2 contracts that I bought. Not sure now if I remember correctly. Let's go to the stock real quick. 4 sells, 1 sell, and I only own 100. Yeah, so just 1 contract, which is fine. Right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. My 4 puts, and then my 1 call is open. I see that literally at a glance. That's why I love my tracker. I see the cost basis, what I bought the shares for. I mean, it's if you need it, let me know. But this gives us a pretty decent. My adjusted basis on HIMS is actually $11. It's trading at 20. So we're almost at a 2xer now, you know, with HIMS. So that's the power of the wheel. Just want you guys to know that. Into it we covered Riot. Let's talk about Riot. So Riot is very much like CleanSpark. So we have to take the presidential election into consideration. But it's down a pretty significant amount. I mean, $8 is absolutely wild. And I don't know if I had $9.50. I have an $11 put open, and so I just have a bunch of puts, 8.5, 9.5. What I may do is I may open up a bit more of these 8.5s. I think Riot's taking a beating. So what I'm going to do here is we're at how many? 6. I'm going to open up 10 more at 64. Is that what we get these filled in at? 60. Let's do 63 then. And let's do 14. How many do we have? We have 6. Yeah. Pretty decent position there. So we just sold 14 at 63 of the 8.5s. So I go to Riot. I go to my 8.5s expiring on the 22nd. And I go here. I say, hey, let me copy that trade above, right? I open these today, which is November 4th, expiring on the 22nd. These are 850s. We opened up 14 of these. So now we have, oh, these are 11. Yeah, so now we have 20 of these. Perfect. We actually got $63 per contract. So that's about $882 of premium, which is right. So we'll leave those there. The other ones, I'm kind of positioning myself to have to roll these out. And luckily, this is on the 22nd. Luckily, this is on the 8th. What I may do is, just as a sign of faith, is I should open up 2 more here. And really bank that premium, but we're just going to let that one play. Now, what I'd really like to see here is if we go lower than 875, please let me know. But you know what? If we go above $9.50, which is where were we before the, yeah, 925, I think is a pretty decent reminder point. All right, so we opened up that Riot position. We have a pretty healthy margin balance here. All right, let's talk about SoFi. SoFi. Everybody talked about SoFi. Let's see what SoFi is doing. So SoFi is recovering pretty hardcore. What is our position with SoFi? So we have $10 puts that we sold expiring this week. It's almost at 11. So these are pretty decent bets. I've got $8 puts. Beautiful. I've got an $11 call for 12.6. I'm probably just going to let that one go. I've got a $10 put for December, which is pretty good. I've got $8 calls and $7 calls, which both of these I'll probably let these go. And then this call, which is what's holding up this call. So long story short, not much I can do on this position. I think it's recovering pretty strong. I had a pretty eye-opening conversation with TJ, and truthfully, SoFi is just not a position I'm excited about. So I am going to look at either reducing my position, maybe starting a new one at a different basis, but I'm going to make that decision come January. Right now, I'm just going to let these puts run. I think it's pretty decent exposure that I've got there. If I go to my SoFi tab, just so you guys know my history with SoFi, I made a lot of premium selling puts and calls when this thing was trading range bound in the $6 to $7, because that's all it did for months. And I made a lot of premium that way, close to $5,000 just doing that. Eventually I started buying shares at $7. Look at my cost basis, $7, $8.50, $7, $6. I sold a few at $7. I sold a majority at $6.50. So this just shows you that nobody really knows what's going to happen, but you got to position yourself, right? My adjusted basis right now for my 1,000 shares is about $5, right? So when I let them go at 7 or 8, it's a pretty decent profit, and you can't get greedy. Sure, I would have loved the upside from 7 to 11. I mean, that would have been great. But the reality is I kind of messed up. My thesis from the beginning was not to own this long term like it is with Tesla. So I have to recognize that and live with the decisions I made during that point. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So going back to our trades, we covered SoFi, TSLL, right? So TSLL, I had a huge eye opener to the NAV degradation, right? So all the fees, the management that it takes to make this a leveraged position, really does eat at your shares. So I was advised that it's wise to sell calls on it to at least help with that kind of loss in value as opposed to owning the shares, which I understand. So I've got 2 calls that I sold expiring this week at 12. So they're doing pretty good. I may actually even buy these back now. Just seeing on, I'm up 92. But again, I got to see what did I roll these? I mean, let me see. Let's go to TSLL. Did I roll these calls? I've got 2 that were called. So I closed one out at 90 for a $92 loss. So what I may do is I'm going to buy to close both of these at 52. So I close these at 52 today. They were rolled. Let's see. Truthfully, I don't even want it to make money on this trade. I just want it to close them. I made $92. So in essence, this was closing these calls was a $230 loss. And that's a loss I am going to take. So why? Because I'm going to sell them now when it recovers. When TSLL recovers, I'm going to be selling them at a premium. I'm going to sell those at $13, $14 and capture all that share appreciation from the candidate that I support to win, which will rally Tesla. So 1177 is above. 1177 is the point at which it turns green, which is at the point at which premiums become juicier. And so if I see this, if you're looking at what TSLL is doing right now and fully recovering from that dip, you might as well just wait. It's all about patience. However, if it does go below 1123, I want to know, because then at that point I may just sell them anyways. I want to capture the volatility of the election tomorrow, so I do want to sell them today. And if it goes, this one we can actually even delete. So below 1123 or above 1177, pretty good. So we just unencumbered all our shares for TSLL. And what we're most likely going to do is I have a, you see, I bought one share of Crocs to track it, and it's not doing that great. I mean, it's down, I'm down 4% already on, so I may just, I've been trying to track it. If I look at the chart, it looks very attractive to buy. But given it's broken pretty much every resistance point it had this year, you don't really know if this is where it's going to stop. It could eventually go down here. You never know. So I'm monitoring it. I think as long as it tests this again and it bounces back, I think we're in good shape. And I may either do a poor man cover call campaign, or I may open a position, a full 100 shares. So I'm not too sure yet. It also depends on what happens with Chipotle. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but I like to give myself options. TSLL, we talked about Intuit, Riot, Tesla, HIMS, SQQQ. So SQQQ is inverse of QQQ. We're up about $85 on this. This is just a very small hedge I'm keeping for the election. This is short QQQ, so it's the inverse of Q. So, it's down, it's recovering. Let's see. It's a very small position. Got some Walmart calls. I think they have earnings. We're still down on this, but I think they have earnings. Walmart does. I'm very bullish on their earnings. I think they're going to beat a lot of expectations, mainly because they're pretty hedged as far as inflation goes. They raise prices. They have pretty good control over those margins. I think their election, there's on November 19th. So I'm just holding a very small position, conservative position on these calls. See what happens. I bought these for $12.20, so I may, depending on, I don't want to sell calls on them right now, but depending on what happens before the election, I may. And as a matter of fact, given we have the election, I want to take, let me see how premiums look like if I wanted to sell the short-dated, short-dated call on Walmart. So it's at 83. I think if we look at the 3-month, I think it's fair to say it's not going to go above all-time high before earnings. So I think if we're able to sell them at 85, I think is a pretty decent bet. Even 84. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell one of them at 60. Do we get that? One, two, three. We don't. Let's do 58. Do we get 58? Oh, come on. Now it went down to 50. Now we're on the high ask of it. Why? Because it's going down, I think. I think Walmart's going down. 82.59. All right, let's give them what they want. Let's go one more down. At the end of the day, you're not talking about a large amount of dollars. All right, so we got one at, let's go ahead into Walmart now, side quests. So we go into our side quests and we're looking at, where is it? Walmart right here. And so what I'm going to do with Walmart is I'm actually going to initiate a little position box. So I go in here and I draw a line around Walmart because now these calls are tied to this, and I sold them on 11/4, calls sold, expiring on the 8th at $84 for 57. At 84 for 57. Now we're bringing in premium. And it's funny because the Intuit position that is now close to 50% return ROI started because of something like this, where I bought a call for earnings and the stock tanked and I ended up just keeping the calls and buying more and lowering my cost basis and then wheeling it because I actually like the stock. You can actually even see it here. The first one I bought two, 822 before earnings. I paid $1,500 each. And you can see I bought one the day after or the week after at 9.9. Same thing, 690, same expiration date. I bought it for $421. So I had lost, pretty much $1,000 in a week. And I decided to double down on that strategy, and I did. And it's been a great strategy. That's why I'm actually pretty open to doing something like this. And look, it's not about squeezing every dollar, but it is about bringing a dollar in at least every week. So I'm going to sell, for example, another call here at 30 at 85 for 32. So I go back here to SideQuests, and I go back here to this, and I go back here to this, and I go back here to this, and we said we sold it for 85 for 32, was it? For 32. So we just brought in $89 worth of premium, and I'm going to actually leave the third one unencumbered. So I'm not going to sell anything on it. That's just kind of my Hail Mary. Like, let's just say the market just takes off and this thing goes to 90. For some reason in the next week, it breaks through its all-time highs before earnings and just completely demolishes this. We at least have that one that's going to allow us to benefit from that. So that's the play that we just did on Walmart, poor man cover play. Ideally, if this was truly the idea to do, if your intent is to do a poor man's cover call from the beginning, the idea should be for you to buy longer dated calls, because then the theta decay is a lot slower. Since these expire in about 2 months, in about a month, theta decay is going to start accelerating. And at that point, you have to make decisions. And it's really a balance between premiums and what you can sell it at, because it's going to be worth a lot less the week after, which is what we're kind of seeing now with Intuit, which is why I started to hedge my position by selling those long calls. So just something to keep in mind. The only reason why I'm selling these calls on Walmart is just to bring something through the door, but the earnings play and really to take advantage of the implied volatility from the election. But really the play here is the earnings. And the goal is to have these unencumbered for November 19th, which is when Walmart does release earnings. Moving on, let's see if I can find, I think we have one more position we haven't talked about. Rocket Lab. So this is another poor man's covered call, January 17, 2025. I bought 2 calls for Rocket Lab. We're up 10% on them. I got them at a pretty decent price. And again, on these, I'm just running the wheel. I think I got a pretty decent basis. So I'm just running the wheel on it, but I also see that it doesn't have any calls on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wait for this to turn green. Again, we see it. It looks like all the stocks are recovering pretty decently. It seems like there's a scare because obviously with elections, some people are taking their money off the table. Some people are investing. But what I want to know is when it reaches 1142, right? When it moves above 1142, I want to know because I'm going to sell calls on that. If it goes below, $11, I want to know just so I know what to do with that call, whether I sell it at basis and I just break even or whatever it is, but I want to know. So that's what we're doing with Rocket Lab. That one's naked right now, no calls on it. And look, guys, that's pretty much it. You know, Tesla, SoFi, TSLL, CleanSpark, HIMS, Crocs. Those are my main positions. Decent margin buying power right now, and it seems like we're down $500. Now, I did take, how much did I take out? I took some money away for a bet on the presidential election, and then some credit card bills I wanted to pay. So there's about, I withdrawed about $3,000, a little bit over $3,000 in November 2nd, so 2 days ago. So in reality, that is actually closer to, where are we? We're at 229, 723 plus 3,000. In reality, that's closer to 232 than it is to 229. But that's pretty much it, guys. Wish you all the best. I don't think I'm going to be going live tomorrow. We're at 36 minutes, so I do want to cut it out. I don't think I'm going to be going live this week until Friday. I think Friday we'll do a little live to just kind of go over it. What I am going to be working on this week is I'm going to be doing a specific video just on the Poor Man Covered Call campaign. How you can do that with a small account, with a large account, what to look for, what are the red flags. Basically using the Intuit trade, which I think is a very good example because it's a stock that, you know, underperformed with earnings. You know, it took a large dip. How do you, you know, a lot of it is just like surfing. You know, that's really a really good analogy. It's surfing. You know, you don't know what wave is coming, but as long as you can stay above the wave, you know, you're good. And that really encompasses the way options work. So I'm going to be working on that video. I'll release that video hopefully sometime next week. But until Friday, I wish you guys the best. I hope your candidate wins. God bless this country. I think America is the best country in the world. I am originally from Colombia, Latin America. So, you know, whatever happens, we all just need to make sure we recognize that we live in a freaking awesome country. So anyways, until then, I'll see you guys on Friday.